Well, it is time to continue the build-up towards the biggest Old Firm game in over a decade as Rangers take on Celtic at Ibrox on Sunday. And what is a huge game, as we discussed on the podcast last night. Please obviously check out the pod. If you haven't already, it's on the channel. All you've got to do is obviously go to the channel's homepage, click on the live tab, and it will be there for you. Loads of content coming up over the next few days as we build up towards this big game, this huge game, this almost season-defining game in a way. We're going to talk a little bit about what Dave King has been saying in terms of the Rangers board, in terms of how we must not kind of take this season as a lost opportunity, and we'll explain more of that very shortly. We're also going to talk about how Dujon Sterling could be exceptionally key to this team's success on Sunday. Also touch a little bit on why Mohamed Diomande is the man who could make a huge difference for Rangers in that engine room going forward, not just this season, but for seasons to come, and why his ability to fit the trading model could earn the club an absolute fortune in the future. Well, let's start by talking about what former chairman Dave King has had to say as regards the title bid, and in terms of if we do manage to win the title, or when we manage to win the title, you can delete as applicable where you really are in terms of your expectations of this season. Why we shouldn't obviously, throw that away, as he says we have done previously. He says that this is a huge moment for the club, and if Rangers manage to deliver the title, they cannot make the massive, that is his key word there, massive title mistake they made in the past. And I think my personal opinion is that Dave King speaks an awful lot of sense, and most people don't like him. I know a lot of people love him. It's just the way it is with anybody who is, served on the Rangers board. It's a whole range of opinions. As I've made quite clear on this channel, I don't like Douglas Park. I don't like Stuart Roberts. I think both of them were grossly incompetent at running our club. Now, look, Dave King has called on us to capitalise on their opportunity to win the title this season, and said that it should be and it must be a springboard for future success. And he is absolutely bang on correct in what he has to say. This title must be an absolute springboard, an absolute kicking off point for us to build, to work towards the future, to really develop this club and move this club forward. Now, Dave King talked about the fact that he felt that there was a massive missed opportunity post 55, and I think he is absolutely right. I mean, let's just have a quick look back. There's the title. There's the league table from the season where we won title 55. Well, we finished on 102 points. Well, we did not lose a single game that season. We scored over 100 points and absolutely wiped the floor with Celtic. Celtic only lost 5 games, which incidentally is actually probably better than a lot of clubs have done this, than Rangers and Celtic have done this season. Rangers were unbeaten, as you know, only conceded 13 goals in the whole of the season, had a vastly plus 30 superior goal difference to Celtic, and obviously finished a substantial 25 points clear of the people who share our city. And Dave King's right in the fact that it was a massive missed opportunity, that Douglas Park and Stuart Robertson made an absolute howler in their decisions post that. Now, I know COVID played a role and finances post COVID and all that, but we had an opportunity there with that lot across the city where we had them on the canvas. We had them with our foot on their throats, and we allowed them to get back up and to come back fighting. We allowed them to be like the villain in the horror movies, where you kind of think it's over, it's done with, he's dead, he's gone, and then at the last minute he rises up again and chops you in half. It was kind of that with Celtic, wasn't it? We kind of let them back in, and that's what Dave King's saying there. He's 100% correct in his assertion that we really have missed an opportunity there to really turn it around. We had the chance with the right investment, with the right moves on and off the pitch to really, to really push the club on and put Celtic back in their box. And we absolutely failed 110%. Since that day, since Since we won 55, we have won just one Scottish Cup and one Scottish League Cup, with obviously Celtic taking the title in both their seasons, as well as obviously a domestic treble last season. Now, Dave King is confident and hopeful that Philippe Clement can lead Rangers back to the promised land. And I think, we're all very confident, very, positive that he can do that. Philippe Clement is a man who is tactically very astute, who is tactically very aware. He knows what he wants from his players. He wants a fit, fighting, hard squad that is tactically astute, that plays to its potential, is fully informed, that is able to cope with anything that is thrown at it. And Big Phil has done an absolutely outstanding job since he has come to the club. Now, look, if we are to get that Premiership trophy back, which obviously is the desire of every Rangers fan, and we've all kind of talked this season, didn't we, about the priority being getting the title back. He said, look, this is what Dave King had to say about what is going on at this moment in time, where we are at with the club at this point in time. He said, I just like what is going on. I really like the manager, and I must say I didn't know much about him. Watching his performances, watching his media, I get the impression that he is respectful, he is cautious, but understands what he's got to do, and he comes across well, which is absolutely spot on. His media conferences are absolutely perfect. He does not give a lot away, whilst still kind of, controlling the media and giving the minimum, which is what you expect of a manager, but at the same time inspiring his team and leading his team on and keeping anything that needs to be kept in-house. And the issues are dealt with behind closed doors, unlike previous managers. Philippe Clement, he also said about this, what he's doing on the pitch, it seems to me we are heading in the right direction. If he can somehow get over the line this year, and then there is no reason why we can't kick on from here and actually win the league, then I really hope and pray we use it as a proper springboard to kick on, which we should have done after 55. That really was a massive mistake and a massive missed opportunity. He says, I think we really have got a platform now. I think he's right. We do have a massive platform which we can really launch on from, now in terms of Philippe Clement and what he brings. It is absolutely the case. He says, he talks about that fact that there is a huge platform for this club to move forward, and Philippe Clement is providing the club with that platform. He says, I hope we are able to keep hold of Clement, which, is going to be an issue. That the more successful Clement is, the more that he does in terms of his success in Europe and obviously his success in the SPL, like Ange Postecoglou did, the more he's going to attract attention from not only across Europe, but from down south, as Postecoglou was attracted by Spurs. The same could happen with Philippe Clement. If you look at it right now, the international market for managers, I'm watching it a lot with Liverpool's situation, and I say, where is the quality of manager? Liverpool looking for a manager. I think Manchester United will be looking for a manager. Barcelona are looking for a manager. Bayern are looking for a manager. And you ask, where are these managers? I would think that our present manager, particularly given that Postecoglou has done so well with Spurs as well, I think that we are going to have hard work to keep hold of him, because there is a dearth of really good managers out there. And that is, I think, the one fear that we will have, that if we do obviously go on to win a treble this season, and we do win the league, we won the League Cup, if we do win the Cup and the league, the better and the more successful Clement is, and the more success he has in Europe in terms of leading the club on and progressing, particularly in the Champions League, if that's where we are next season, the more he's going to attract the attentions. And look, I'm not saying that Manchester United and Liverpool and Bayern Munich are going to come in for Philippe Clement. I think that is quite unrealistic at this stage. But there is nothing to stop, clubs of similar level to Tottenham, maybe coming in and trying to get Philippe Clement, because of the fact that he is clearly a very talented, very able manager. And he has a track record of success, and wherever he's gone, that he wins things, that he gets teams to overperform for what they actually are. And I think Clement is the perfect man to take this club forward, and can, I think, go on and win multiple titles here and multiple cups and do multiple doubles and trebles. But it all depends on what the future holds for him. And Dave King is right. And Dave King is right in a number of his assertions here. And the biggest one for me is that if we do go on to be successful this season, if we do go on to win the title, that we must not, that we cannot allow the opportunity that we had after 55 to slip away again. We cannot allow them back off the canvas. We cannot allow them in true monster horror story villain, character to come back and haunt us again and kill us again. We cannot allow that to happen. Dave King is absolutely correct in his assertions. Well, guys, let's move it along and talk a little bit about this man here, Mohamed Diomande. Now, Diomande obviously came to the club on loan with an obligation to buy. Now, the obligation to buy is apparently set around the fact that we are paying installments for this player, and that the loan fee that we have so far paid will be subtracted from the overall value of the player. Quite complicated stuff, guys. I don't really get my head around it, but hey, you know what? I don't need to, because I'm not in the football finance department. But Diomande is someone who has, I think, come into the club and had a fair degree of success and looked like a very good player. Yes, he's had his poor games. Yes, he's had the games where he hasn't been as effective. But I think we've got to remember this guy has played up until November a full season with Nordjylland and hadn't since November kicked the ball in anger. And has obviously slowly been rebuilding his match fitness, his match sharpness, and getting back to his best. But, Diomande plays, for me, an absolutely vital role. And he's already starting to make that spot alongside Lundstrom his own in what he does. Now, whether next season going forward, we still have Lundstrom, or whether it'll be Raskin there or someone else we sign, I don't know. I genuinely don't know what the answer is. Or Bailey Rice maybe moving through from the youth team. But Diomande does a very important role. He does something that I think a lot, it kind of goes, what's the word I'm looking for here? He's kind of underestimated and actually missed by a lot of supporters. If you watch Diomande during a game and what he actually goes along and does, he often will drop deep in alongside Lundstrom and pick the ball up from the back four. He'll turn then under pressure and start off attacks and try and give Rangers a lot more control and a lot more speed to their attacks. If you watch him, he has an ability to turn away from danger, to go past the man, to turn and create space for himself, to create the opportunity to play the ball forward. And he's kind of, I think, a cog in the machine. And, Philippe Clement has talked about turning this Rangers team into a winning machine, into a machine that can go on and, smash teams, but grind results out, that can do a whole host of things. And I genuinely think that Diomande is kind of central to what he wants. Like I said, watch what he does in terms of he gets the ball, he turns, he creates a bit of space, he moves the ball forward quickly, he gets attacks going, he provides a link between defense, midfield, and attack. He can go box to box, he can go by a man, he can go out wide, he can move anywhere on the pitch and play the ball with confidence. And I think that's a kind of player we've been missing for an awful long period of time. I think Mohamed Diomande is bringing that to the lad. He's still learning, still got an awful lot to offer the game. So, look, for me, Diomande is a central cog in this Philippe Clement experiment, this Philippe Clement machine that he is formulating for us at Ibrox. And that Diomande will go on to have, I think, a great deal of success at the club. I really do genuinely believe that. One thing for me about Diomande as well is the fact that he so massively fits the trading model. He really does develop that trading model to a massive extent. The fact that if Diomande can go on and develop at how we see him developing, improve how we see him improving, he's certainly someone that in the future we can flip for a whole lot of cash, possibly down south or somewhere else in Europe, and make a huge, massive profit on. This lad, for me, has an awful lot of talent, an awful lot going for him. And I think, like I said, he's kind of a missing piece in the jigsaw that Philippe Clement believes will take this club to the next level. And I think he certainly will have a big role to play on Sunday in terms of getting the ball from the back foot and turning Celtic's midfield around and making them defend and making them very kind of aware of the fact that, he is someone like Callum McGregor is for them, that makes the team tick, that keeps the team moving forward, that keeps the team progressing. I think Diomande has a huge role to play on Sunday. And if he has a good game, if he plays well, then that will give players like Cantwell, players like McCausland if he plays, Seamer if he plays, Sterling if he plays, Lunny, obviously, who will play, the chance to go on and be successful and go on and develop. And I think that is certainly very important going forward. Now, one player I talked about on the podcast last night, and I want to just touch on him again, is Dujon Sterling. You know, Dujon is someone who came to the club, and it was very much seen that, you know, he was a right back and that he was perhaps the long-term replacement for James Tavernier, that he wasn't going to get a lot of game time whilst Tav was still playing. And obviously, Tav was still continuing to be successful. But, you know, due to obviously the injuries, and, you know, it often happens like that, doesn't it? Where one player gets injured or a couple of players get injured, you know, one man's misfortune is another man's opportunity. And, you know, to quote a kind of sentiment in the NFL, next man up. Sterling has kind of, you know, really fulfilled that role and, you know, made 27 appearances this season for Rangers. And I think has very quickly become a fan favourite and someone who is kind of very important to provide an awful lot to this team in what he does. He really is a very talented individual, not only in terms of, you know, his ability to pass the ball, his ability to move the ball, his ability to shoot, his ability to tackle and get through players, but his ability to fill in so many different positions. You know, if we look at the breakdown of where he's played this season for Rangers, he's played at left back, which he did in the Old Firm game at the start of the season. He's played left midfield, he's played right midfield, right wing, left right back, defensive midfield. You know, he really can fill in a number of positions, and you know, he is exceptionally highly regarded, and his passion and his desire to get the ball and to use that ball once he's got it is just invaluable. And I think, you know, he is someone who does provide a real, you know, extra piece to this team again, and it is becoming kind of as much as a utility hybrid player can be, proving himself indispensable. I think, you know, there's often a worry, isn't it, when you're like Sterling and you can play in so many different positions and don't have a specialist position, you can kind of get overlooked to some extent and get pushed out because of players having specialist positions. But for me, Sterling should be one of the first names on the team sheet. Now, I can see him playing in a couple of roles against that lot from across the city. I can see him playing in his defensive midfield. I mean, given the task to mark Callum McGregor if he plays and stop him from playing. I can also see him being used out wide as well on the right-hand side in front of Tav to enable Tav to go forward and give Tav cover, because obviously Sterling can drop back in it and pick up the right back slot, or even to support Tav when he's going forward and attacking. You know, I think there's a number of roles he can play there. And again, I think he's going to be exceptionally important to this team on Sunday. Right, guys, I'd love to know your thoughts. You know, how are you feeling ahead of this game? What's your thoughts? What's your feelings? You know, what's your thoughts on Mohamed Diomande so far? What do you think of him? How's he going to go? What do you think the future holds for Diomande? Hopefully. And obviously, let me know as well about your opinions on Dujon Sterling. And find your opinions on what Dave King had to say. Do you think he's right? I certainly do. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Well, thank you so much for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. As always, there's two things I ask of you on the way out. Number one is to smash the like. And number two is to remember always we are the people.